Hi, it's Hope and welcome to the video. Firstly, I want to point out that if you hear any background talking or anything, it's probably my mom yelling at the cat because he is being stupid today. But, as you can tell by the title, these are going to be LGBTQIA books that I have read and have enjoyed. I'm pretty sure actually all of the LGBTQIA books I have read, I have enjoyed, but I'm going to just kind of show the book, explain how it is like a LGBTQIA book, a little bit about it, and what I liked, what I disliked, mainly what I liked because I don't think I really disliked any of these books. And there's going to be kind of like two categories, ones that are the main plot of the book itself, or majority of the plot is centered around like LGBTQ plus stuff, and then there's going to be like a second part where like a second section of books where it's like this isn't the main plot, but there is a character or multiple characters that are a part of the LGBTQIA community. Firstly, we're going to start with Red, White, and Royal Blue by Kacen McQuiston, aka one of my favorite books of all time. This book follows Alex Claremont Diaz, the first son of America, and Henry, Prince of Wales, and how they go from enemies to fake friends to lovers. And in this book, Alex is bi and Henry is gay, and so it's just their romance, and it's such a fun, cute book. Yeah. Next we have Heartstopper by Alice Oseman, and this is about a openly gay boy named Charlie who befriends a boy named Nick, and it's eventually them growing as friends and then into a relationship. And we have obviously Charlie, who is gay, we have Nick, who comes out as bi, and then we also have some side characters who are also LGBTQIA, like there is a trans girl in the cute, fun graphic novel series. I Wish You All the Best by Mason Deaver, and this is about Ben, who is non-binary, coming out to their family and ultimately being rejected. They go stay with their sister and then go to a new school, and they meet a boy named Nathan and befriend, eventually start a relationship and all that. So obviously there's non-binary rep, as Ben is non-binary. And also I think they identify as bisexual, I think. And then we have Nathan, who also identifies as bisexual. So there's that representation, and this is, I think, one of the few books on this list that I read in like one sitting. I loved it so much. Next we have Felix Ever After by Kacen, Callender, and this is about a trans boy named Felix who his pre-transition photos get out, as well as his dead name, and he tries to figure out who it is, and then ultimately not blackmail someone, kind of like catfishes someone because he thinks it's them, and then ends up kind of falling for that person. And obviously Felix is trans, and then he's bisexual. There's also other bisexual characters, there's also gay characters, there's a lesbian character. This is just overall such a queer novel. Next we have They Both Die at the End by Silvera, and this takes place in a slightly futuristic world where you are sent a phone call 24 hours before you're gonna die. And we have our two main characters, Rufus and Mateo both get phone calls saying, hey, you're gonna die in the next 24 hours, and there's this app where people who get this call can chat, meet up, and have a fun day together if they want to, and they do, and it's the story of how in 24 hours they become friends, and then, yeah. I cannot for the life of me remember both of their, like, exactly what their labels of their sexuality is. I feel like it is mentioned, but I don't want to say it and then be like, oh no, they're actually that, like, but it is kind of like a 24-hour romance between the two, I guess. Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertelli. This is about a boy named Simon who starts emailing with this other boy named Blue, and they email and all that, and the emails get out and kind of have to deal with that. It's just a cute, like, email romance while trying to figure out Simon has to figure out who the person he's emailing is, and both Simon and Blue identify as gay, so there's that representation. This was also made into a movie, as you can see. So yeah. Next we have The Gravity of Us by Phil Stamper, and this is about a boy named Cal whose father gets accepted into this science program with NASA to possibly be one of the first people that goes to Mars. And Cal uproots his life from New York, moves to Houston, and eventually meets and falls for a boy named Leon whose mother is in the same space program as Cal's dad. And it's just a story of them, both of them kind of figuring out this big change in their life, going from being themselves to being on TV with their parents becoming famous because of this mission, and all that. It's a fun, cute read. Cal identifies as bisexual, I believe, and then I cannot remember what Leon identifies as, but I think gay, I think. Don't quote me on that, but I think. Next we have Timekeeper by Tara Sim, and this is a historical fantasy steampunk book about a boy named Danny who works on these clock towers, and these clock towers have the ability to stop time, to alter time, and all that. And during one of his repair missions, I guess, like his repair things, he meets a boy named Colton, and they form a relationship. It's a lot more complex than that, but like a lot of it I can't say without spoilers. But obviously Danny identifies as gay, and then Colton, it's never specified. But yeah, it's a fun steampunk book that I'm excited to continue the series with. Next we have Carry On and Wayward Son by Rowell, and this is about Simon Snow, who is a wizard who goes to this magical school, and he finds out he's like the chosen one, and evidently this is him figuring out his fate, and evidently falling for his roommate, who is his worst enemy. That's really all I can say. And then Wayward Son is the continuation, which is also, it's a very cute book. But I don't remember exactly what sexuality Simon is, or his roommate Baz. I can't remember what their sexualities are. But basically how I pitch this is basically imagine from Harry Potter Drarry being real, and that's basically what Carry On is. Yeah, these are books that I need to reread like ASAP. I love them so much. Next we have Of Fire and Stars and Of Ice and Shadows by Audrey Coulthurst. I think that's how I pronounce it. I had to look down to make sure I got these titles right. But this is about a girl named Denna who is a princess and who gets betrothed to this prince, and then ultimately she ends up falling for his sister Mare, and it's kind of Denna and Mare becoming friends and then a couple, and then all that. And the second book is more of their relationship and what happens after the second book. It's a really good series. The first book is better than the second book. I'm really hoping with a third book, but so far there's no news about it, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed. And this is one of the only female romances on this list, because I struggle with finding ones that truly interest me, and I got a few recommendations which I plan on reading, but yeah. Next we have The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee, and this is about a boy named Monty who goes on this tour of Europe in the 1700s. I think it's specifically the 1720s or 30s, something like that. And he goes on this tour of Europe with his best friend Percy, who he's also in love with, and his sister Felicity. And things go awry. And yeah, I can't really explain much more. But this, we have Monty is bi, and then it doesn't specifically say Percy's sexuality, but yeah, this is a book I literally finished last night and I loved. So yeah. Now on to the books that are normal books, but they feature like LGBTQ characters, but they're not specifically like LGBTQ books besides one, but I wanted to keep it in with the series. So first we will go with Infinity Sun by Adam Silvera, and these are about twins, Amel and Brighton, who live in this world where it's basically our world, but there are people with magic. There are all these different there's also magical creatures and all that, and Brighton really wants powers, and Amel doesn't give a crap about it that much. And this is a story of how finding out that Amel has powers and Brighton doesn't, and dealing with these like evil people that have powers. And why this book isn't necessarily LGBTQ, but it is because Amel is gay, and it is, I think, written on page confirmed like he's gay, but there's no like romance. It's literally just mentioned, and that's really it. That's why it's LGBTQ, but it's not the main focus. The main focus is stopping these bad people and forming these friendships and all that. So yeah. Next we have Far From the Tree by Robin Benway, and this is about a group of siblings who don't know their siblings because they were all adopted or placed into the foster care system, and how they come together. And one of these siblings is either, I can't remember if she is a lesbian or bi, and it's mentioned like her breaking up with her girlfriend, getting back together, and all of that. So it technically counts, but it's not the main focus. It's more of a like family bonding story that will make you cry. Next we have Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan, McGuire, and this is about these kids who went into these like doors that take them into different worlds, and then sometimes they come out, and when they come out of the door they end up mind jumbled. They end up not acting like a normal person type thing, so they end up going to this like school, Miss Eleanor's Home for Wayward Children, I think that is what the school is called, and it's basically about teaching the kids how to relearn back and get back into society or get back into their doors. And this we have Nancy, who is like on page says I'm asexual, so she's asexual, and then we have a transgender boy named Cade, I believe that's his name. I read this in March. I'm bad with names as well. So that's how it kind of is like LGBTQ and all that. It is a really good book, and that also leads me to my next one, which is Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Seanan McGuire, and this is the second book in this series, but it takes place before the first one, and these are about twins Jacqueline and Jillian, aka Jack and Jill, and it's about them going into their door, being in their world, and all that, and then ultimately leaving. And this features LGBTQ stuff because Jack ends up starting a relationship with this girl named Alice. I'm going to put the name up here if it's wrong. I literally read this book a week ago and I've already forgotten the name. But that's how that one kind of fits in, how it's just a brief thing, but it's there. Next we have Ace of Shades and King of Fools by Amanda Foody, and this is the story about a girl named N whose mother goes missing, and she then travels to a city called New Rains, aka the City of Sin, to find her, and then she ends up with this guy named Levi who's going to help her, and it all goes from there. And how this book is like LGBTQ is that Levi is bi, and in these two books it's mentioned in the beginning of the second he's in a relationship with a guy, so that's how that is. It's not like a main focus, but it is shown like, yep, this character likes both guys and girls, so yeah. Next we have the Six of Crows duology by Leigh Bardugo, which features Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. And in these books there are characters of LGBTQ. I can't really say much. We have one character who is confirmed. I don't know if she's confirmed bi or if it's just implied, but she's bi. And then we have two male characters who end up together. Don't really want to say much because it spoils, but there is that in this, so it's not a huge heavy focus, but it is like sprinkled along in there, and I wanted to mention these also because it's like my favorite duology ever, so I feel like I had to mention it. Next, we overall have the Shadowhunter Chronicles. This is first book, City of Bones, and this is the first book in the Mortal Instruments series, which features many people of many different sexual orientations. Like there is gay, bi. In some later books there are I believe asexual characters, lesbian characters, and all that. It just features so much like diversity in sexuality, but it isn't like it's the main focus in some chapters, but others it's not, so that's why overall it is, but it isn't. But yeah. Then we also have, this is it a spoiler or not? we have the Red Scrolls of Magic, which is a spin-off of the Mortal Instruments, and this features 2 of our characters who are in the Mortal Instruments on a trip to... where the hell is it? On a trip to... okay, overall just a trip through Europe, and all that. And obviously these, you can't see a thing, it's 2 male characters. This is the one that was like, it's technically like the main focus is the relationship, but I wanted to keep it with the series. Next we have the Dark Artifices series, which starts with Lady Midnight, and in this trilogy we have bi, gay, lesbian, and a trans character, like sprinkled throughout the entire series. So overall it is a very like pro LGBTQ series. And then we have Chain of Gold, which is the first and last Hours trilogy, and this features gay, bi, lesbian characters. So overall, yeah, like overall most of the Shadowhunter books have that. That's why I wanted to mention those, because they are some of my favorite series. So yeah, those are the, I don't even know how many books that I guess recommend, or that I enjoyed that feature any sort of LGBTQ things. I'm going to be posting a video on Saturday, if you're watching this when it's uploaded, or on the, what day? It'll be my next video after this, talking about LGBTQ plus books that I'm excited to read and want to read ASAP. So, yeah. Hope you enjoyed this video, and bye!